this is easier than you think. And it's a very, I think, important episode, because it is going to take in a lot of things that are to do with the resolutions of the year, as self-motivating ourselves, what that really truly looks like, when it looks like full motivation, and how far that gets you, and kind of some of the pitfalls of looking to others, looking to other things to center what is ultimately your own accountability and responsibility. Which is kind of central to this community. And but out there is a different story. So welcome everybody. This is Jhor, and Jhor's been a student of mine for a number of years.
Almost 4 years.
4 years, yes. And the practice is about pause and joy, and about how we use the tools to always navigate, not you to me, but to yourselves, and how that is a constant negotiation. I don't like to use the word struggle, because I think that's just it's part of the human journey. It is a constant negotiation with yourself to do your meditation practice, to self-practice, to do your yoga practice, whatever floats your boat, whatever brings you back to center, is a constant effort until it becomes an effortless effort, because we always want something to be effortless, but we haven't put in the time and the habitualness that gets us into the tipping point of the effortlessness. And it's kind of like, what they say in Alcoholics Anonymous, of just one day at a time. One day at a time, one day at a time. And that could be 10 years for someone, that then it becomes a habitual, effortless effort. But those slips and those looking for shortcuts, looking for other things to, that's why diets yo-yo, right? That's another example of it. Someone yo-yos because they go on someone else's plan, but then they come back to, has it really shifted my disordered eating? Has it really shifted my mindset of eating in alignment with not emotionally eating, not escapism eating, not even secret eating that you don't even know you're doing? Which is unconscious eating. So there's all different things of, what really it comes back to is, how aware are you in knowing, to know thyself and to thyself be true. It's such cliches that people use, but it is a very, very deep practice. And when we come at things superficially, it has a ping.
A big one.
So Jhor's going to tell us a story of, and I think it's so layered and it's so important, again, for the beginning of the year. And it's so insightful, and it just shows you, and he's I'm not the easiest person to have as a teacher.
But you're the best person to have.
Oh my God, she knows. But his own self-awareness and being able to call yourself out is where the celebration is at, rather than the flogging yourself. When you can call your own shit out, it's emancipating. That's freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you want to, I'll let you take it away.
Well, I love that story that you told in the last Reiki circle about Mary who called the cops on herself because she was drunk driving. And that's really what I feel like, and I've felt like that for the past 2 weeks since I decided to get clean and sober. And this was a total accidental, but in April, right. In April, I came back to LA from filming Tulsa King in Tulsa, and I was introduced to this wellness tonic that they sell in grocery stores and gas stations, and they don't explicitly advertise exactly what's in it. It's marketed as a kava drink, but it actually has this herb in it called Kratom.
Okay, let's take a pause there.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Pause there. Because it really is in some of the biggest health food stores in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Let's be clear on that.
Yeah.
It is in some of the niche health food stores.
It's very easy to get.
Very, very easy to get, very accessible, and the branding is perfection. And we're not going to say what the brand is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because we become lazy when we start to point out brands. What I want to do is point out the ingredients.
Yeah.
Because the ingredients is going to get you into a practice to read labels.
Yeah. They put Kratom at the very bottom of the ingredients list. That's most.
And can you spell that for us? Can you spell that word?
Yeah. Kratom. Kratom.
Okay. And you had bought it. We all went for dinner, and you gave me one.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a wellness tonic. It's like a fun thing.
It's a wellness tonic. It has kava in it, but it also has this other stuff in it. And you gave me it, and what was my reaction?
You were like, whoa, what is this? I don't know what this is, but I feel high.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
high.
Oh, something is not correct here. Something is not.
It's duplicitous.
Yeah. And you guys were laughing because I was like so exaggerated and they're like, this is a wellness tonic with kava in it, Patty. Like, calm it down, slow your roll.
Well, in grocery stores.
Yes. And you had been drinking it and it has kava in it. What does kava do?
Kava typically is for calming and to relieve stress and anxiety. And so that's what it's marketed as, like a very calming drink. But it actually has this other herb in it, Kratom, that acts just like an opiate in your system. And they actually use it for people that are coming off of heroin because it combats the withdrawal symptoms from heroin. And so it's used in rehab facilities for that purpose, but there are also dedicated rehab facilities to Kratom for people coming off of Kratom because you can develop a dependency.
So you were telling me that you were using it to go to the gym, you felt really motivated.
I had the best of intentions
with
using it at first because I was so productive, I was so creative, I was spewing out all these creative ideas, writing a lot. I was working out better than ever, I thought. But it went into a tipping point where I was actually withdrawing from life and from my practice. I literally felt like I slipped into an alternate dimension where I was existing as this other version of myself, that I was in this illusion that was the better version of myself, and that I had to have.
Let's stop there because that's really interesting. So you're taking it, you're spewing out ideas creatively, you're doing all of this, you're in this kind of dimension of, oh my God, I'm more creative. So you're not doing your practice, you're not Reikiing yourself, you're not doing any of your connection, you're starting to, I don't need all that stuff. I don't need all that.
It's this is so easy to take this tonic and feel so good and high and social and everything that you could want, creative, but then
something happened. Something happened because it tipped into some other place where you started. So you became so creative, and then it was like people wanted you to be creative, but because there was this disconnection, we're using this tonic, when you were actually asked to go out and be creative for auditions, that's when you realized that you weren't connected.
Yeah, because I felt like I needed it to get through the audition or to sit down and write or to do anything productive. I felt like I needed it. And what happens with Kratom, your body builds up a tolerance to it, so you need more and more to get the same effect. And and you develop a dependency because it changes your brain chemistry. And
how many were you taking, like, at that point, coming up to the holidays?
Up to the
a year.
Holidays, it was up to 3 a day. There was one day when it was 4 a day, which was the really dark place for me, where I was like, I don't like myself right now. And
what was it that made you admit or actually start to even know about this stuff that is in this wellness drink? Called Kratom?
Kratom, yeah. Yeah, so there was a day where I had gone out of town and I had decided that I was just going to like take a break from these tonics, and I kept thinking about it all day, and it was like I was craving it. And I was like, I think there's something wrong here.
Yeah, because how did you, like, because, you know, I'm sure a lot of people know about, you know, craving a coffee, craving sugar, craving something.
Right.
How is this different to that? Because, you know, you've detoxed from coffee, you've detoxed from sugar, you've done things with me, you know, where I've done things over holidays and stuff. How is this different?
You have actual withdrawal symptoms that are the same as heroin withdrawals.
Wow.
You have insomnia, you can't sleep. You have, what is it called? Shaky leg syndrome. Your hands twitch. You feel like you have to constantly be moving, but you also emotionally feel like nothing matters. You have no dopamine in your system, no serotonin. You feel so bleak and void of joy.
Is that because it kind of gives you this kind of false joy and false feeling that you are motivated, but it is firing up kind of serotonin, but then kind of at the same time and dopamine depleting it?
Yes. So what happens with Kratom, your body develops a dependency, and so your brain chemistry gets used to having the Kratom in your system in order to produce those hormones. And when you don't have it, your body is not naturally producing the hormones, so you wake up and you feel the sense of dread waking up until you have the Kratom, because it gets things going.
And I just, you know, those people who have joined now, this is actually a wellness tonic, and it's sold in some of the top places, but we don't want to say the name of it because I want you to look at the ingredients of this, because it could be in others. It could be in other tonics.
Yeah. And this tonic specifically, they don't explicitly advertise that there's Kratom in it. It's marketed as a kava drink, when Kratom is definitely in it enough for you to develop a dependency to it when you take it regularly.
Wow. So what was your process when you realized, when you had went out of town, you were starting to think about the drink and whatever? What did you realize, and how did you put it all together and piece it all together?
Well, I did a lot of Googling after that when I realized that I was dependent on it, and I pretty much ignored that call the first time. I attempted a couple of times to go off of it and to sober up and get clean from it, and I relapsed. And the second time, I like tricked myself into thinking, oh, okay, so I've gone a couple days, I proved to myself that I don't need it, I'm going to just keep having it when I feel like I need a boost. But then it slipped.
And that's kind of like, you know, anybody who has dealt with coming off of alcohol, you know, they think, well, maybe I could be a social drinker.
Right.
Maybe I could have one. Maybe I could. It's that same game in the mind.
Yeah.
That's played by all the different facets of you.
Right. And I'm going to be merry on myself again right now because the past 2 weeks, yesterday was 2 weeks since I've had any Kratom or Kava, the wellness tonic at all. And each day is a choice to not have it.
Yes.
And there's this little thing in the back of your mind that's like, okay, when I hit this milestone, I'll allow myself to have one. But it's like, let me just get past this point. Let me just get past this point, and then I'll
isn't that one day at a time, you know?
Right.
It's like celebrate its talons out of you.
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
the detox of
Exactly.
it. And how easy it is to it was marketed as a wellness tonic to, you know, have this kind of full motivation and this full connection.
Yeah.
And it really is something that you have to admit to yourself that something's not quite right here, or something's not quite adding up. You know, how can the wellness tonic, you know, when I have kombucha, you know, which I love for digestive as a prebiotic.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can get kombucha that has also, you know, so much proof in it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's slowly starting to kind of slip in to these wellness tonics in this wellness world that, this is going to help you be motivated, rather than asking the question of, why am I unmotivated?
Yeah.
Rather
Yeah.
than asking myself, you know, what is it, you know, because you were spewing out creativity ideas, but you can spew out anything, but are you going to take action on it and actually do it in this third dimension?
Right.
I'll sit there and be having great ideas, but unless those processes that you're doing is coming back into this world for you to integrate into your life, to execute, then all it is airy-fairy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was operating in a haze. Like, by the time I was taking more than one a day, I thought that I was in a good place, but really, like, there's times when I think now that I haven't had any for 2 weeks, I barely remember things from that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did the people around you, did they notice a change in your behavior, your mood? What did they notice?
Well, when you're taking it, it's like everything is good, but it gets to that tipping point where you need more and more to keep going to get the same effect. And I was hiding how much I was taking, and I wasn't being honest with Simon. I actually did tell Simon that first time that I got the ping that something was off. I told him that I think I have developed a dependency to this herb, and it was hell because I was the Mary and I told on myself to him, so I had to be accountable.
Yes.
And I was like trying to figure out ways to sneak it, but then feeling guilty and like coming down on myself for that and feeling
it's a wellness tonic. It's just a wellness tonic. It's just a wellness tonic.
Exactly. How bad could it be?
Yeah.
But it's all you can think about when you don't have it.
But also kind of going back to your point that there's actually rehab facilities and they use this for people coming off of heroin.
Yeah.
And it's there's actually rehab for this actual drink.
Yeah.
This ingredient that's in the drink. So, you know, folks really kind of look at, and I think the message here is we're all as human beings, I think everybody's like, I used to say this jokingly years ago, that everybody's looking for a shortcut.
Yeah.
And it's the long way.
Yeah.
It
was a shortcut for me.
It's the long shortcut. And, you know, even how do I get motivated into going to the gym, as you said, you used it for that as well, and getting creative, rather than saying, well, I'm not motivated, but I'm going to drag myself there.
Yeah.
And feel good that I dragged myself there.
Exactly. And that's the process that I've been going through for the past 2 weeks, is knowing that the exercise is helping me. And the first day that I made the choice to not have it, I got on the treadmill and I could feel my brain being rewired when I got the natural endorphins from the exercise.
Yes.
I could feel things rewiring and coming back to this 3D reality, like I was slipping back into my body.
Yes.
And
because you didn't even want to do any work. You were actually starting to resent all the things that you had created for the last year. You were starting to resent having to do it.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't feeling good. You didn't have this fake feel good thing.
Exactly. And every day is waking up, feeling better and better every day, but still making the choice to do things that I know are going to get my brain in a good place, get myself emotionally in a good place, and go to the gym, exercise, do my yoga, do meditations, sit with my crystals, and do the work that I'm here to do.
Yeah. And also, you know, celebrating doing your responsibilities of just being a human and being able to kind of stay connected to yourself.
Yeah.
And without any kind of interference from outside, you know, in yoga, you know, if you go to India, there's really no yoga studios. It's a home practice. It's a self-discipline. And I really believe that sometimes we are missing the self-discipline and celebrating the self-discipline of what you have been able to cultivate, what you have been able to create in your space, and then, you know, being able to take accountability for that, you know, because that's also kind of a growing up, rather than other people having to, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's also like, well, where can I discipline myself, and where do I need a buddy to go to the gym or go to yoga, but where do I not need anybody to hit my mat every day?
Doing it for yourself.
And doing it for yourself, and really kind of cultivating that muscle.
Yeah.
As an energetic muscle to you know, put out your stories, put out your films, put out your creations. It is, rather than always looking for other people to give you even that anointing, right? Of like, oh, well done, cheerleader,
Right.
You know, that's also an inner cheerleader that has to be cultivated. And I think this year is going to be all about that. It's going to be about, you know, where can I cultivate my own inner motivation, my own inner alignment, my own calling myself out when I'm, you know, look like I'm doing the work, but I'm not really.
Yeah.
Or I'm doing it here when it needs to be a little bit deeper. I want deep shifts, then do deep work.
Right. And
you know? And there's no, and like, where am I always looking for a shortcut, or I'm looking for things to be easier, and also seeing your resentments at having to do what you know you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's also the big, when you can catch that and you can see I'm resentful and I'm having this inner dialogue that is like a, you don't want to do it. Why is she making me do it? Right? So that's always like, you know, level 1 and 2 with me is like, why is she making me do all this work?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you find me.
Right.
You know, you have outsourced on some part your responsibility to big bad me to be like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And you know, but you need me to know to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, you really think you're going to get that passed?
Right.
But, and I don't do it in a like corralling, and like I like, you know, my students to be in a space of calling themselves out and, hey, how can I shift this? I've tapped on it myself. I've, you know, reiki'd myself, but there's still something hanging on like a claw that has come in.
Yeah.
And I need to get rid of it. Because, you know, there is a part of in your development in a practice is of growing up, is to grow up.
Yeah.
And the accountability and the responsibility and the discipline. And you know, people used to say to me years ago, well, you know, you're so disciplined. And I was like, am I disciplined, or am I just committed?
Right.
Or am I in love with what I'm doing, or enjoy what I'm doing more?
Joy.
It's just, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy this more than, and we wanted to share this because we wanted people to know that there's this herb that is in this drink that is so available. And you know, the people that we know that own one of the top places here in Los Angeles is, I mean, they can't keep it on the shelves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the scary part of it. You think you're going into somewhere that it's healthy, and they might not even know about this. Like, I had never heard of this word. I'd never heard of this ingredient that they were putting in this drink. And you were the one that educated me about how there's all these rehab facilities that have popped up.
Yeah.
You know, so well done in kicking it for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And also having the awareness so quickly, because I'm sure maybe there's people that have been drinking this drink for maybe a little bit longer and wondering why, you know, they have, you know, maybe some difficulties or some, they feel unmotivated, or they feel like, how did I was on my path and then I kind of deviated away, and I was just resenting what I needed to do, because there is no drug. There is no anything that is going to bypass you taking your own reins.
Yeah.
And you doing what you know you need to do. Like, all the time, I'm always turning people back to themselves.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, what is it that's in your way? Why do you resent this so much? Why are you so mad that you have to do what you need to do what you want to do? Right?
Yeah.
But you have to be ready for that conversation. You need to be in a place of, I think like what you have is that humility to be able to be like, oh, okay, that is, that's a me thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that what are the things that I dropped along the way in place of this herb? And it was so subtle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so subtle because energy is so subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was tricking myself at times too, knowing that I knew, but convincing myself that it was okay, that I was doing it for good reasons.
Yes, and it's a wellness tonic.
Exactly.
And they sell it at you know where.
Yeah.
They would never sell anything like this.
Right. Yeah. Like, they sell it in grocery stores and health food stores and gas stations. Like, it's so available, how bad can it be?
You know, so now the responsibility is on the store.
Yeah, and
responsibility is, you know, these people are just, they put the ingredient, but what are they really dealing with is people's unawareness and ignorance. I didn't know what this thing was. I didn't know what it was called. You know, can you repeat the name again?
Kratom. Yeah.
And it starts with a K. And it was in this kava drink, but this was the ingredient that was really disruptive to producing, you know, your own dopamine and your own serotonin.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing. And it is easier than you think to tell people, you know, wow. And I think even this, you letting people know that don't even know, to look at, you know, I'll give you an example. For me, I was drinking a lot of tea once many years ago, and I knew there was something in the stevia. And I'm like, what is in the stevia? I want another cup of tea. I want another cup of tea. I want another cup of tea. And I'm like, it's not the tea. It's definitely the stevia. And I looked, and there was maltodextrin in this stevia. And you know, maltodextrin has a very sweet taste, and it's very addictive, but it also creates tumors in rats. So I was like, well, let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
You know, so there is a self-responsibility of noticing, which you clearly did. You noticed something wasn't right with you.
Yeah.
That it was easier for you to execute your films and your auditions and your, you know, getting stuff done before, because this was a kind of fake motivation to think that you're, you know, and also wrapped up in a wellness marketing and branding, that it was for you to feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone that's telling you that you're going to feel good, really look at the ingredients of it.
Yeah, because they put the kratom at the very bottom of the ingredients list.
Yes. And had you ever heard of that word before? And then you started doing a Google search.
Yeah, and I found, like, on YouTube and stuff, a lot of people that have been hooked on it for 4 years, 3 years, like many relapses, like struggles getting off of it, and it was getting to that point for me where it was serious. Like, it was.
So then it's kind of like making you feel good, making you feel good, making you feel good. You start to not produce dopamine, start not producing serotonin.
Exactly.
So you need more of it, more of it, more of it, more of it. We've got dependency.
Exactly. And it happens quickly with kratom.
Wow.
And
so
it was such a trippy thing that I was in this state of illusion that I needed it to be myself. And it got to the point where I would have these flashes of remembering myself before taking it and questioning how I got things done, how I was creative, how I was artistic, and like not remembering that I could do it without it, and feeling like I needed it to do all of that stuff.
Yes. Now imagine if you haven't got to that place where you are in your discipline, you're in your whatever, and all of a sudden you start taking this for say 2 years or 3 years, and you know, you don't know that person before because the person before was maybe unmotivated. So that could even be another danger. But what would you say to people that maybe are realizing that they're on this, or maybe from some other dependency? What has helped you start to, you know, detox from it and detox from, you know, the talons of it?
Yeah, it got to a place for me where I was crying every day, not wanting it,
Oh,
praying that it would go away, but still taking it because I needed it in my system to get going.
yes.
And it got to the point where I had to make the choice, like I can detox from this, I can come off of this safely at home. I've done the research, and knowing every day, I mean every minute, every hour, that you will get through it.
Yes.
And coming back to your practice, finding a practice if you don't have one, because that was so crucial for me to get through it, and trusting, and also celebrating yourself for doing it.
Oh, completely. Completely. So
And
yes, it's
having the faith and taking it day by day.
yes, and knowing that you can do it on your own merit and on your own energy and on your own, and there's really nothing quite like knowing that you're doing it on your own steam.
Yeah. I really had to focus on my future too to get through it, and visualize myself doing the type of work that I want to be doing, the dreams that I have for myself, and knowing that I was compromising that if I kept going.
Yes. So yes, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
this information, because it's I think it's also feeds into, like, when you do go for a walk around the block and you didn't feel like it, to be like, I did that. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like it, but I did that, and it was good.
Yeah.
And it was good that I did that, and it feels good, and it feels good to make a decision and follow it through.
Yeah.
Just like you go to yoga today, and you are like, I didn't feel like it, but I decided to override that feeling.
Yes.
Feelings are transient sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you are dealing with feelings, and feelings are important for reading energy and feeling, you know, in a spiritual context.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're always looking to your feelings, I mean, you might have some things running that's like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like pushing through. Then where are you if you don't know that that's actually part of the overriding of the true self? To be like, well, you're not in charge. You're not in charge, whoever you are, whatever you are.
Yeah.
And we'll not go into that here, but we know, everybody knows that thing.
Yeah.
That says, anybody do it. Don't make me do it.
I love in our last session, the visualization that you gave me of it as a puppy and having to train your puppy. That has been so helpful. Yes,
I gave Jhor, rather than it being this huge enemy that, you know, you're battling, and it's, I mean, it's so narcissistic and so egotistical. It's kind of like the duality in yoga. You're battling the ego. I mean, that's why we have so many wars. Everything always has to be a fight. I was like, just think of it as training a puppy.
Yeah.
The puppy wants to eat everything. The puppy wants everything. It wants to pee everywhere. It doesn't want to do it. Whatever. Right? You're just training a puppy.
Yeah.
I think that would be that's helpful for everybody, you know, to know that you are just training this puppy that just wants to chew the couch.
Yeah, and pee all over you.
Yeah, and be all over you and biting you and all of that. That, you know, you have to train it, and you have to say, no, this is what we're doing. We're going to go on a walk. You're going to learn to walk properly on a leash, and you're going to learn to come when I say come, and you're going to learn to, when I say heal, when I say here, you know. And I think that's very much like our psyches. You know, we have many things trying to run our show, and you have to decide whether you want to take the reins and whether you want to be in charge.
Yeah.
And when we start taking these wellness drinks, which you have highlighted, this ingredient, this herb, that just completely was like, you don't need to do all that stuff she makes you do. You don't have to do all that stuff. You can just take a sip of this.
Yeah.
But then how, you know, there was no joy in all the effort that you were putting forward into the world, and then you started resenting it.
Yeah, and it was making me feel bad about myself without it too.
Oh yes.
Tricking me into thinking.
And that's that constant reminder of like, I won.
Yeah.
I'm the winner here. You know, I think that's really important to remind yourself of, like, I am in charge of this, you know, reality, the show, and I'm deciding. There's no willy-nilly choice. I am deciding that, no, you can't have it. I know you want it. I know you crave it, but that's just not on the agenda today.
Right.
And the more you start to strengthen that energetic muscle in your psyche, because it can be so, yeah, but you know, you could just take a sip, you know, and we could call it temptation, but it's really it's an inner negotiator.
Yeah.
To see who's in.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's part of a spiritual practice. There is no bypassing that. There is no psychology of that. That is the basis of all spiritual practices. For you to know that you need to know the difference between all the parts of yourself that's telling you it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to go. You can just sleep. And knowing when you do need to sleep, and knowing when you're just being lazy.
Right. Yeah.
Knowing when you're just showing off and you hurt yourself in your practice, and knowing when you really need to do that because you can do it and you're, again, just being lazy. There's so many things to stay on track with, that when you add in these kind of fake stimulants that make you feel good, and then your system becomes lazy. It's like, I don't need to create dopamine today. I don't need to create serotonin today, because, you know, you've seemingly got it in this magic bottle.
Exactly. Yeah.
From the health food store.
Yeah.
With the great branding that tells you that it's
good for
right
you.
up there with, you know, sattva thinking, or, you know, divinity, that is gonna, you're gonna bypass all that practice.
Yeah.
And you can bypass the practice, that's fine, but you don't get to polish the edges that cut away all the forces that are trying to shut you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It is easier than you think, but the minute you start to put the thinker, you know, into it, it is remove the thinking of it and go into the doing.
Yeah.
And you're doing it.
Yeah, and that's been really eye-opening for the past 2 weeks, of making the choice to do the things that I know are going to make me feel good, get me motivated, and help me throughout the day. And I was avoiding all of that before, because I could just pop one of these tonics and not have to do all of that.
Yes, and organically knowing what you need to do for that real, as you said, when you were on the treadmill, you could feel those natural endorphins kick in. You could feel the naturalness of the practice and what it gives you. And it's knowing that you are showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
In a way that no tonic is really kind of going to muster.
Right.
And, you know, you think it's a great idea at the time. You thought it was but it just makes you drift and drift and drift away from your centrifuge.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you were able to catch it so quickly. And how, you know, when you even gave it to me and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was so exaggerated, and it was funny. You know, it was just funny. We'd been to, you know, Sugarfish for dinner, and it was, you know, we're celebrating a birthday, and it was just, you know, but I maybe should have not been as exaggerated, and actually was like, oh no, this is a problem. And I think I was saying it was a problem, but
yeah,
it was, my reaction was not, you know, because it's that seriousness of like, oh God, you're going to be another party pooper Patty, you know, saying, don't drink this drink, it's bad, there's something in it. And, you know, you can say that, but people just have to try it for themselves. But I'm so glad that you've came on here and, you know, educated and just put people in the know about this Kratom that is in, and there's rehab facilities and they use it for people coming off of heroin. And read the ingredients, people. Read the ingredients of these wellness tonics, you know, flying off the shelf. You know, it's sold at many different places. As you said, it's sold in gas stations. It's sold in the top delis and stores and grocery stores here in Los Angeles. So, you know, it is, the ingredient is kind of makes your system become sluggish.
Yeah.
But then that has its own agenda.
Yeah.
Which is, you're going to need more.
Right. And the company, they actually offer a subscription, a monthly subscription. So they charge your credit card every month and they send you a box of them. So they know that they're getting people hooked.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
And that really is, you know, we can say constantly, oh, these companies should be conscious. They should be conscientious. They should be, and they could be, but they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the reality is they should be into wellness. They could be, but clearly they're not.
Right.
So that is when you have to do your due diligence.
Exactly. And regulate yourself, like you said in our last session, because this isn't a regulated herb.
Yes.
And you said, well, when are we going to start regulating ourselves?
Yes.
And make choices for ourselves?
Yes. And it's a lot more work.
Yeah.
And sometimes we also, maybe there's someone selling it that we're impressed by, or that we like, or it's someone that we know that they're like, oh my God, they're so fun and light and whatever, and they drink this drink, you can get 20% off. Oh my God. You know, so it's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
Of that pitch, that, you know, being enamored, being bewitched.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like I was put under a spell.
Yes.
There's so much.
Yes, that is kind of what sometimes marketing and branding is. It's a bewitching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's they're very good at it, but when you can look at something, you know, really, even when you go into the supermarkets to say, like, why am I attracted to that brand? What is it about the color scheme? What is it about that logo?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that's really kind of calling me? Really looking into things, like understanding our own attraction,
Mm-hmm.
right? What are we attracted to? That, you know, like me even looking at the stevia that I was buying, and knowing that there was something off about it, and then looking into it and being like, oh, it has maltodextrin in it.
Mm-hmm.
So really kind of seeing the branding, seeing the marketing, seeing the pitch,
Mm-hmm.
but energetically feeling into that pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, but it isn't a duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is that energetic knowing that you don't really need to know what someone is up to or what anything is up to. You just know it's a hard pass for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Knowing
Yeah.
it's a hard pass, knowing that it is not in my best interest in the long game.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I learned my lesson with that, and not just trusting that these places are selling things that are actually good for you.
Yes. I mean, I think we went through all of that in, there was a documentary last year that came out about the beauty industry and about all the hair products and all the perfume and everything that was in the hair products that was, you know, not good and toxic. And I can't remember what the name of the documentary was, but I'll put it in my description when I save this. But it was making people realize, wow, everything in my cabinet is needs to go in the trash. And the resentfulness of that, of, oh, now I need to do my due diligence and all of that. And there is a great app called Think Dirty that allows you to look up any brand, from cleaning products to beauty products, to see what the toxicity is. Because I think this is what we are going into in 2023, is looking at things that we think are well for us, but the toxicity of it, and the pitch, and really kind of trusting, does this feel right for me? Because we do actually know when we tune in, and muscle testing has proven that, you know, when we know this is not, the body knows it's not right. And you had that struggle, you know, where your body knew, your body flagged it, your body was like, get that lazy, greasy shortcut out of your system, and you're gonna have to pay for it. You're gonna have to work harder, you know, to do it. But you know, you've got to practice, so it's much easier for you. But for those of you that don't know where, wouldn't even know where to start there, what would you say would be the first thing to do that would help?
Exercise. And sweat. I could feel so much better when I would sweat and get my natural endorphins going. It would give me hours of relief. And then knowing that I still had to go exercise every day, and it would get easier every day, and feeling the rewards of that too.
Yes. And celebrating it, you did it.
Yeah.
Even celebrating, like, I heard that dialogue just before it.
Yes.
I did this. I don't know, are you making me? And be like, I heard you. I heard you, and I overrode what you said.
Yeah. The first week was like hell getting through workouts, because I had used it every day to work out and to do my workouts with ease, and then I didn't have it in my system, and it was like having to retrain myself all over again, and starting from the beginning with my fitness program all over again, but enjoying that too.
Yes. And also knowing that that's coming from the self. that it's not coming from some artificial herb. That, well, it's not artificial, it's an actual herb, right, that they're using. So it's but an artificial motivation or an artificial feel good.
Exactly.
So yeah, when you can, but you know, using that kind of artificialness, how that really kind of derailed all your creativity and all the stuff that you had to go out and do.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like maybe someone would say, well, why not take another drink or another hit and go do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was stopping that happening?
Well, because it catches up to you. You build up a tolerance to it, and you need more and more to keep going.
Yes.
And then it eventually just shuts you down, and you get to a point where you're capped out, and you are existing in a state of dread.
Yes, dread.
Yeah.
Yes.
It comes with a price.
Yes. Well, we thank you for being an inspiration. And an energy that people can, if Jhor could do it, and you know, just be like, you know what, I'm going to take Jhor's natural training of the puppy, and his natural determination, his natural discipline, his natural commitment to do this in a way that was in alignment with him, and I'm going to use that for myself today. So that's how it works, right? Energetically.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to message me with questions, feel free to do that.
Yeah. Yes. But thank you so much, because, you know, when we did a session on it the other day, I was shocked that it was just so readily available, and I had never heard of it. Of the herb or anything like that. So, and I hadn't heard of all the rehab and what it was really truly used for. And it really is shocking that there isn't a conversation around this. Yeah. Because I would love even, you know, for people to look at the brain scans on this, what it would look like, you know, with someone on this, you know, before what it does to your brain chemistry.
Yes, and the Kratom community wants to keep it quiet because they know that the government wants to regulate it, and so they're very hush-hush about it, and there's not that much research or studies done on it.
Yeah, but clearly they know it's a problem.
Yeah, they do, but they're pretending like I was.
That it is not a problem.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely, you know, look into it if you are, you know, even like, I don't know if kids are using it.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing, you know, because if it's non-regulated, it's our children drinking this.
I think at the grocery stores, you have to be 18 or 21 to buy it. But I don't know about, like, gas stations and stuff. I don't know what they do for that.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's right on the front counter. It's right in the front. They set up a display, and everywhere that sells it, they make sure to put it right by the cash register.
Okay. We're not saying the name of the brand. You have to look for the ingredients. Say the name.
Kratom.
Kratom. Spell it.
Kratom.
You print it. Note to self. Because who knows, this might go into other things as well.
Yeah.
But it, you know, when you become dependent on something, you are then saying that I am dependent on this thing to feel this way, to feel motivated, to feel in charge. But really, the inner message is that you don't need to, you can just go to sleep. You can just go offline.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because it's withdrawing from life.
is dangerous. So yeah, but thank you so much for sharing.
Of course. Thank
But
you.
yeah, it's easier than you think, guys. Just look
Yeah.
at the labels, look at the ingredients,
Yeah.
and just be like, yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I know it's harder to drag yourself to places and do it, but at least it's you doing it.
Yes, and it feels so good.
Feels so good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jhor.
Thank you.
So that was amazing for Jhor to tell us his journey with something so simple. And I think with all things, we know what we need to do when we need to do it. We just don't want to do it, and that's also part of your spiritual journey. That's, you know, you can put that into kind of, oh, it's procrastination, it's the psychology of it, but it's also the basis of a spiritual journey of this cutting through all of the inner voices to be the person that is taking accountability and responsibility. And when we do it in a spiritual context, that is what you are tapping into. That's what you are building. It's what you're strengthening. It's what you're enhancing. It's what you are plugging into. And all the other stuff starts to kind of fall away. And but yeah, it's tough sometimes. It's harder until it becomes habitual, until it becomes an effortless effort. It is it's a drag. But there's other things that will be out there to drag you down the road into, oh, this is the shortcut, this is the easier way. And ask yourself, is that really going to sustain me, or is that just going to yo-yo me into having something else? How can I cultivate this self-determination? How can I, what is it that's calling me? You know, usually what's calling you is what you don't want to do. And that's usually the route you need to take. That's usually the path. That's usually the door you need to go through. The one that you don't want to do. And that's an insight into your own spiritual journey. Because it's sometimes we want the easier route. We want something that's not as difficult or scary, but you know what it is that you are being called to do or called to process. And the more you ignore it, the more it amplifies. It doesn't go away. And sometimes you have to go on the route that is easier, and then you realize, oh, that didn't give me what I needed because it was diluted, or it was not challenging this thing that doesn't want challenged within me. So there's many layers, as you can see, and it's ultimately your call, because no one's going to police you in choosing things that are just a delay tactic to what it is that you need to do. No one's going to call you out. No one's going to figure you out. That's you. And that is going to be really kind of front and center in 2023. It's in your hands, and it's up to you. And that can be a tough pill to swallow. Excuse the pun. But it's once you swallow it and you're like, okay, what is it that you want me to do? And you don't need to like it. You don't need to like what your inner voice is telling you. You just have to get in alignment with it, whatever way you can. And that's when it starts to become a spiritual practice, because there is a pushing through or a habitual practice that centers you and empowers that centrifuge of doing what you know you need to do when you need to do it, even when you don't want to do it, or you dislike doing it, or it's annoying to do it. It's you're the person that's has to admit, has to call it out. Oh, and Jhor has just popped on and said he forgot to mention that they are now offering this herb or stimulant in capsule form too. So it's Kratom. I'll be putting it in the description. It's it's something that makes you feel good, but you need more of it, and more of it, and more of it, and you don't have to kind of naturally produce your own. So beware and be diligent and honor what it is that you need to do, and celebrate when you do it. Really celebrate and be like, wow, that was great. I did that. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. You know, look at that. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Be safe out driving, because, you know, we're still in Mercury retrograde, and communication is also, when people are driving, sometimes they don't communicate. They don't put their blinker on. You know, they don't know where they're going. They're not in their bodies. They're watching Instagram. So it's just be cautious. Later.